Welcome, everybody. We are very excited to host this Google Hangout today. It is a look at the top findings in our TextureTrends report, which is Wave 4. We surveyed 6,000 people to find out how does the textured hair consumer shop. And we brought in an amazing panel to talk about the key findings. First, I'll introduce Harini Reddy. She is the hair merchant at Sephora. Sephora has been making a huge push into the curly textured category you'll see more of that over the next year. We've got Lisa Price, the founder of Carol's Daughter and mixtress extraordinaire. And then we've got Mahisha Dellinger, who is the founder of Curls, one of the top products in the category. So welcome, everybody. We're very excited to have you. We feel like you can definitely add some perspective to what we found. We're also excited to have some of the people who contributed to TextureTrends, the consumer. They are also going to be, asking us questions throughout the Google Hangout, but they are the reason that we have TextureTrends, and their findings are going to shape what happens in the industry. So one of the key findings in TextureTrends this year is that texture transcends ethnicity. That a woman or man's hair texture is the defining factor in the products that they purchase. And I wanted to kind of go through the panel and talk about how that has, if you're finding that in your businesses, and if so, how that has influenced your business. Harini, why don't you start by talking about how that has influenced Sephora and what you're doing?
Sure. I mean, absolutely. A person's hair texture transcends their ethnicity. Often, you can have people from the same ethnic group with completely different hair types. And at the end of the day, what all women want is to really be able to find that right product that's perfect for your hair. And unless we as retailers really recognize just how many different hair types there are and how many different people have those different hair types, we'll never be able to do that. So at Sephora, that's been a really important step for us in talking to women who have curly and textured hair, is to really focus on the hair type and get that right. And one thing that we've done recently is we have a presentation called Curly Hair Essentials, and a small group of our doors, 20 doors, where we're really speaking directly to women with curly textured hair. We feature women of all ethnicities, but it's really talking to hair type, and it's done incredibly well because it's very relevant and really speaking to what our clients are actually thinking about and worried about with their hair.
Lisa, I think you can definitely speak to this because there have been changes over the years in terms of the products that Carol's Daughter has been offering, kind of to a broader audience. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and the evolution of Carol's Daughter?
Well, we have a lot of the products that we've had in the line since the beginning, but in developing new products, we've really focused on what's the customer looking for and what's her language in shopping. And it's very challenging to, have a hair care line that is for curly hair, like our hair milk line, and just say that, one thing is going to work for all curls. You kind of have to narrow down, okay, this is a shampoo that works across a broad texture of curls. But then we might need to add a conditioner for some people, a mask for some people, a leave-in for some people. And then when we're styling, we're cocktailing the curl products as well. So it's developing with the knowledge in mind that she's going to be cocktailing in order to get the desired look, and speaking more to the look than to just the texture, and definitely not ethnicity. You can't really just speak to ethnicity. So it's looking at problem solution, but then also looking at what she wants her end result to be, and then she helps us with that on social media because she's given us the vernacular in which she's already speaking, which helps us speak to her in language she's going to understand.
Mahisha, you and I have worked together since Curls first started, and you have always taken a very multicultural strategy with your company, and I'd love to talk with you a little bit about that and how you came to do that, because you were kind of one of the first who took that approach.
Well, it was actually organic for me. It made sense. And to further collaborate what Rini and Lisa said, it's all about texture and not tone, not skin tone, not ethnicity. And so I understood that from day one and knew that I had to market my products and offerings to a wide subset of women. And that's why my line is so deep. We have so many styling step 4 options, and we understand the cocktailing, the blending. And so from step 1, 2, 3, and 4, there are many options under each category to alter and be able to help every single natural texture woman from top to bottom. And as we've grown over the years, we've obviously expanded and grown and added additional lines to do that. And it really is keeping up with the consumer and making sure we give her what she's asking for and not what we think she wants. And so, again, it's listening to her needs, developing based on what her wants and needs are, and helping her achieve her natural hair care goals.
One of the key findings in Texture Trends was that depending on the texture, different words seem to resonate with people. You know, for instance, if you have type 2 wavy or type 3 curly hair, frizz is much more of a concern, but type 3Cs and type 4s, which are curlier and or curly, coily, and coily, that word is not going to resonate. That moisture is the top concern. How do you address that, and is that something that you see in your business in terms of positioning your products?
Absolutely.
Lisa, or Mahisha, if you want to start.
I agree 100%. Wavy hair is frizzier by nature, and they have thus more challenges with frizz. Tighter, kinkier texture challenges moisture because of lack of sebum going from the scalp to the end of the hair. So these are things that, as you are authentically ingrained in the community, you understand, right? So we understand that, and as we're creating products for each texture, we know the key buzzwords to incorporate. But then we're also, again, back to listening. You know, it's really all about listening and developing what the customer needs. So the needs and the wants, and also her end goal. Those are all the things we keep in mind when we develop products. And so frizz for wavy hair, moisture for drier, kinkier texture. Definition also, we know type 4s want more definition. And then the type 3, right in the middle, the curly woman, has a mixture of both.
Lisa, is this something that you also see? Because what we're hearing in our community too is that using the term frizz to a coily woman may actually be offensive because that curl definition may not be what they're trying to achieve at all. Frizz is the look that is their natural look. How would do you see that with Carol's daughter?
What we do, we don't make frizz a focus when it comes to curly products, and you tie it to other words. So being that we have to speak to a myriad of textures, if you have the word frizz in a descriptor that it's, you know, combating frizz, you may say something like, this particular product adds moisture, combats frizz, and helps to improve definition. So then the person who's looking for the moisture and definition, they know that it's there, but the woman who's worried about frizz knows that there's an aspect of the product that's going to address the frizz as well. We just don't make frizz the paramount concern because we know that that isn't the paramount concern amongst curly customers. For us, it's more of a paramount concern when the textured customer wants to be smooth. Then frizz is more of an issue for her because the frizz is causing reversion of her smooth look because she doesn't have a chemical smooth. She more than likely has a natural smooth. So then frizz is something that she wants to fight. But when her hair is curly, she's not as worried about it.
Another key finding from Texture Trends relates to ingredients, and you know, the good ones, the bad ones, and it's, you know, for some women, some of the products that might be good for some are on the bad list for others, but depending on the texture, ingredients may be more important, or certain ingredients may be more important. And as you develop products, or as you decide which products to carry in your stores, I'm wondering how ingredients have become a part of that strategy. Harini, why don't you tell me a little bit about, you know, are you seeing that with the Sephora customer, and is that playing into some of the brands that you're carrying?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, going back to your earlier question, there's just no one size fits all in the curly textured space. You have different clients that care about different things. So I think you have certain clients that are incredibly ingredient savvy, that when you watch them shop, they will, pick up the bottle, look at the back, they know what's in there, what's not, what's the latest oil. And then we have other clients that still wear their hair curly, textured, natural, but are less savvy and are really looking more for what are the end benefits. So again, our biggest learning at Sephora is there's no one answer that works for everybody. You have to offer choice and offer what's hot, what clients are talking about, and be very tapped in, and that's not one thing for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that for both curls and Carol's daughter, ingredients have kind of come front and center in your marketing in terms of the types of things that you're putting in your products and how you're positioning them. Lisa, talk a little bit about it, because I'm seeing a lot of interesting new ingredients in your products, and I'm curious how. I mean, you got your start mixing different ingredients together.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about how important ingredients are to your product line.
Well, ingredients have always been important, but now we have a customer who understands them better than she once did. So, I remember, it seems like it's a long time ago, but I remember when I said that shea butter was in something, and I had women say to me, "Shea butter, what's that?" Or they looked at the label and they called it shea butter and said, what's that? I've never heard of that. So it wasn't something to necessarily, in the past, call out on the front of pack, because then it was just confusing because she didn't even know what that was. So the front of the package was things like moisturizing shampoo, made for dry hair, made for damaged hair, because those were the words that she was familiar with and she could understand. She didn't know tea tree extract. She didn't know coconut oil. I mean, there was a time if a person read oil on a bottle, they wouldn't even use it because they thought, oh, it's going to make me greasy and it's going to weigh me down. I won't use it. Completely different world today. So now we can talk about those ingredients and talk about their history, and how in this country it's been used for centuries to do this, or in that country it's used this way, or it's harvested by women. Like, those are stories that people want to hear now, and they're less afraid of oils and butters and extracts and things. It was a very scary thing for people when I first started, but now she wants to know all about it.
Mahisha, how do you make decisions about what ingredients to put in your products, and then how do you market that?
Well, yeah, decisions on ingredients, number one factor. Obviously, performance has to be there, so we can't substitute or sacrifice performance, but ingredient selection is paramount. We look first at what the research tells us that this ingredient does and how it benefits textured hair. So that's the first stop. And then we look at all the studies, the research, and look at exactly the benefit statement that we can actually incorporate into the marketing of the product. So it's every step of the way we're thinking of what this will do, how would it impact and benefit the hair from top to bottom. So looking at new ingredients for 15, looking at 16 and 17, how we are going to enable and enhance natural women's texture. So that's the whole goal from top to bottom. It always has been. We have always had a strong stance on not formulating with certain ingredients. Even when people were doing it and it was received well and okay because performance was there, we still took that stance against certain ingredients because it was, for me, a holistic approach of not putting something in a bottle that I wouldn't want to use myself or myself or any of my children. So it's a part of every decision that I make, from product formulation from day one.
One of the most important findings in TextureTrends has to do with what drives people to purchase products. The top four: price, accessibility, ingredients, and reviews are the top four. Accessibility I want to talk a little bit about because that's definitely something that has changed a lot over the last 5 years. You know, and I think, Harini, I'd love to talk with you about that because of the new direction that Sephora has taken in terms of incorporating more curly products into your selection, and also talking about how do you educate people about these products and how do you merchandise when you're talking about a category that's so sophisticated?
I mean, it's not easy, which is why we really tried to take a very different approach this year in talking to the curly-haired woman and merchandise. So one of the things we know is that she likes choice. She likes to try different things. She's interested in different categories, like there's more interest in treatments and oils, and we wanted to be able to speak in a language that was more relevant. And so what we did is we put together a multi-branded assortment, which really kind of talks in those categories that we were hearing that she cared about, and puts together different brands for her to really discover, play with, try, and kind of get introduced, and then can kind of shop those brands online or elsewhere in our stores. So we've really recognized how, number one, complex it is to meet all the needs of women with curly textured hair, just because there are so many different hair types, as well as how sophisticated she is in terms of the products that she wants and how many different needs there are, and really take a very different approach, but still be very Sephora. At the end of the day, we are a prestige retailer, and we really want to bring our clients, no matter what category they're shopping in, really exclusive, elegant, luxury products that really help them feel beautiful and meet their very specific beauty needs.
I think for both Carol's Daughter and Curls, accessibility has played into your strategy a lot. You know, Lisa, I think over the last year, Carol's Daughter products have become much more accessible. You have a mass collection now. You have your products available many more places. Tell me about how that strategy came about and how you decided to do that, because that was a major shift.
Yeah, when we first went into the market in 2005 and 2006, and I mean the market outside of ourselves, because we sold in our stores and sold on our website for many years, the mass market for hair was not geared towards textured hair. It wasn't geared towards a natural consumer. It was relaxers. And it wasn't an attractive environment to be in. So I think if we had tried to do a more accessible mass type of launch, one, it would have been very difficult to convince the retailers that there was a market out there, because at that particular time, 87% of African American women relaxed their hair. Today, that number is more like 38%.
Wow.
So it's dropped off quite a bit, and the conversation has changed. So now in a mass environment, you have this plethora of brands addressing all different types of texture of hair, offering women options, and speaking a language that aisle never spoke before. So to not play in that area, it's just not a good business decision. So that's why we decided to, you know, separate the line and have our prestige offering as well as our mass offering, and be able to play in all areas. When it comes to beauty, I feel like women are very democratic. We shop in our prestige stores, and we shop at our drugstores and, you know, convenience stores, and, you know, our makeup bags and bathrooms are made up of a combination of those items because we look for what we want. So that's why we made the decision to do that. And being accessible to her is very, very important. And you have to play on all fields. You have to be in brick and mortar, and you have to be on web, because she's everywhere.
Mahisha, you were one of the first brands to go into mass, and I know that you had to do some special things to do that in terms of distinguish kind of your professional line from the mass line. Talk to me a little bit about that, because I think that was a strategy that's worked well for you.
Well, the goal was to always enter into the mass chain, but not from day one, because I knew I had to first set up my demand and my consumer and get connected and have that audience and that base that's connected to curls. So once we had that established, then we created another opportunity to reach natural women, and that was through the mass line. I had an established professional base in salons initially, didn't want to disrupt that channel, so once we got that call from Target, I knew instantly, ding, I have my opportunity now to enter mass, but I have to do something different. I have to create another line that will still be a natural line, something wholesome that I'm proud of, that brings the performance and the quality of ingredients without sacrificing the performance. Obviously, that's important. So I went directly to my team and started working on what the whole new look and the products and the scope and how we were going to scale this to make it still an amazing lower end retail line. And it took a little while to get all those pieces together, but it worked out well. And after the Target call, then all the other retailers started calling. And it's become a big piece of our business now, and I'm very proud of that because before we had a following, and like other brands created for us by us, we were underground per se, and we had an authentic following, but we wanted to reach more people than we could do so via the web. And Target made that happen, and other retailers that started to, like Sephora, started to come aboard and create a destination for the natural woman. And so I feel like it's just been a natural progression and something I always wanted to do, but it took a little time to do so.
You all kind of speak to something that is kind of coming through loud and clear in our research, which is not only do people with curly and coily hair spend more than the straight hair consumer, they shop in more places, and as you said, Lisa, the average curly, coily, wavy woman will have a number of different hair care brands, from prestige to drugstore. There's no differentiation. I think this is a very interesting trend. Our research tells us that the curly consumer spends 54% more each year on hair care products than the straight hair consumer. I mean, I think that may be why we're seeing such a push into this area. I'd love to get your perspective on, kind of where we're going to see that all go. What's the future for this category? I mean, I've always said it's not a trend. I've always said that curly hair and texture in general, it's a part of who we are, just like our eye color. It sounds like everybody's starting to catch on to that, but I'd love to get your perspective on where you see this going. I mean, Harini, are we going to see a huge texture section in the Sephora stores a year from now?
So, I mean, I can start, but yeah, I mean, I think that women do, I think women go to where the product is best and best for them, and it could be in a variety of channels. At Sephora, we're very aligned to the prestige channel, but really we're all about surprising and delighting our client in all of the worlds that we play in, including hair, and making sure that what we're doing is really relevant to her. I mean, I think curly textured hairs, it's not a trend. It's, the majority of the population has this hair type, and I just think the world is just embracing their natural beauty a lot more now than they used to be. And finally, the market is catching up to the client and really starting to give her what she needs and surprise and delight her at every turn. And I think that's happening here in prestige as well as the work that both Mahisha and Lisa are doing as well.
Yeah, I don't view it as a trend at all, and I don't think that her shopping habits are going to change. I mean, maybe as more women embrace their natural curl, more women get to the point where they've never had a relaxer in their hair, because that's kind of where we're going with all of these women raising daughters and never relaxing their hair. There won't be a characterization of natural hair versus not natural. Natural is going to end up meaning something completely different, because if you never relaxed your hair before, then it's just your hair. You don't think of it as, well, this is my natural hair. If you know what I mean, if you grew up that way. So I don't see the trend, as it were, changing. It is what it is. Textured hair requires more product. In some ways, it can be viewed as complicated. I think of it as very easy. Maybe it's because I'm used to it. So I feel like I have a very easy routine that I follow, but I have 4 steps every morning, but they're quick. You know, I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years, so I know exactly what to do, when to do it, how much. But I can't change that regimen and still have the desired effect of my hair. So I really don't see it shifting, that all of a sudden she's going to go from buying 5 products to, oh, all I need is shampoo and conditioner. I can't I can't imagine that.
Just a quick poll.
But you know,
how many products do each of you use a day? I use probably 6 products a day. Mahisha, how many products in an average day?
Michelle, 6. Okay.
Maybe 7.
Oh my God. 2 to 3. I always moisturize every morning and then refresh with my styler of choice. The night before, obviously, I usually cleanse and condition at night. So in the morning, my moisturizer and my styler of choice. Oh, and edge control, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty much 3. If it's particularly humid, there might be a 4th. And if it's a shampoo and condition day, then it's more like 6. But if it's just daily, it's on a regular, it's 3.
Harini?
I wash my hair fairly frequently, so I do a shampoo, conditioner, sometimes an in-shower treatment, and then I'll do a styler, and I like to switch it up between creams, mousses, and then oftentimes, like midday, I might just finish it off with a little bit of oil to just kind of touch up some of the flyaways.
Yes, we are not a one shampoo type of consumer. No. We're starting to get some questions from consumers out there, and one of them, Mahisha, I'd like to direct this to you. What's the best way for the consumer to provide feedback to you so that you can create the products that they're looking for? How right now are you getting feedback and incorporating that?
Well, the best way, we're accessible, so accessible. Thank God for social media. Definitely connect with us on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us. You can send us a form on our website. You can call us. We have so many ways to be reached, and we love to hear feedback. And remember, Michelle, a while ago we did on naturalcurly.com where we actually solicited and brought in a group of women that helped us create 3 products.
Yes.
And we focus groups a lot, and so that's a big piece that we'll probably circle back with you guys to do again. We really are open, and we love input, good and bad. That's how we improve. So contact us so many ways. It's so easy to reach us. We answer every email, every call, every post, every response.
Lisa?
Pretty much the same. Not so much with the calling. We do answer phone calls, but the call line is just not accessible 24 hours a day. So reaching out via social media and through our website is the best way, you know, to give us feedback, and we definitely listen. We've been listening to women on Facebook for a very long time for what she's looking for, and it's led most of the development that has gone on here at Carol's Daughter. So social media, yes, thank God for it, and keep talking to us. We love it.
Mm-hmm. We got a great question. You know, as brands come out with more and more lines and different collections with different ingredients, how does the consumer navigate that? And, you know, I'd like, you know, Carol's Daughter, I think, has come out with a number of new collections this year. I'd also like to address this to Harini in terms of how you in the store can help the consumer navigate all of these different choices. So Lisa, why don't you talk to, you know, how do you tell the consumer which of those many product lines is going to be the best for them?
Well, as we're developing them, we're working to develop there's a specificity to it, to what we're developing, but then there's also a target. So, you know, we have products that are dedicated to damage, and then we have products that are dedicated to moisture, but sometimes we have people that sort of fall in the middle. There could be a customer who's looking to address damage and also wants to have moisture, but she sees all of these treatments and different things that are out on the market, and she might feel like, well, I don't know if my hair is really thick enough to handle that. I have a lot of hair on my head, but my hair is kind of fine, or my hair is fragile, and I don't want to weigh it down. So we'll think about her when we're developing and speak to her in that way. So we try not to have overlap. And then we know that people are very much motivated by fragrance as well. It's when it's summertime, they might want to smell one way. When it's winter, they want to smell another way. So we try to incorporate variety into the full line, so that if you're looking at everything, you can sort of navigate and look for what you want. But it is beauty, so there's whimsy in beauty, but there's practicality in beauty as well. So we try to have that balance between the two, and really just give her options and explain each one. And some people actually find a regimen by taking two things from us, and one thing from another brand, and then something that they cocktail at home. It's just helping and being there to listen.
Yeah, and from Sephora's standpoint, I'm interested too, because I know a lot of times people put all the brands together, but how do you help educate people in terms of the problem solution? And is that mixing up some of the brands that have different products for, say, frizz or moisture? How are you doing it to really help that consumer navigate all of these choices?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. So we have, started doing a more multi-branded approach where we, we go after stylers, for example, and then we'll pick some of our best stylers for women for the full spectrum, from wavy through textured hair. But I would just say, kind of general advice to the consumer as you're trying to navigate so much product out there in the world is, first start with what resonates. If what you're really worried about is damage, start with the damage. If you're really interested in an ingredient you've been reading about, start with that. And then buy what resonates. I would say read reviews. The community out there is amazing in terms of giving feedback, and can give you a lot of direction as to what is right for you. And then try it, and if you don't like it, you can always return it. It's all about sampling, trying. Again, there's no one thing that works for everybody. You have to kind of just experiment and see what works for your hair. I think that's what makes having curly hair so much fun, is that there's just this element of experimentation out there, and word of mouth, getting advice, trying things. It makes it complicated and also like a ton of fun to have this kind of hair.
Well, we're going to start wrapping up right now, but I did want to ask each of you kind of, what do you think is the key texture trend for 2015? If you could pick any one trend that you see really emerging, what would it be? Mahisha, why don't you start?
Well, I see a lot of new experimentation with exotic ingredients from brands. And people, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's so many more brands out there highlighting key ingredients that we've never seen formulated before for curly hair. Lisa's done it for years, right? She's one of the 4 founders in this category. But it's always been in the background for most of us. And now it's the forefront, and people are learning more and more about these amazing ingredients coming from all over the world. And I see a lot more in that space for 15.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa?
The trend that I think we're going to see more of is experimentation, with color, with switching back and forth from curly to straight, protective styling. There was a time when people wrapped their head up for the winter, or they did it for the summer so they could, go to the beach and get in the water. And I think it kind of doesn't matter anymore what season it is. If she wants to do a funky style, she's going to do a funky style. And I think we have more women getting comfortable with their texture, so therefore they feel more comfortable experimenting, where before she was just afraid, well, if I put in a color, is it going to destroy my pattern, or am I going to lose my hair? She's dabbled her toe in the water, if you will, and I think we're just going to see a lot more fun, which will then lead to a lot more treatments, because she'll be playing around and she'll want to hedge her bets and make sure her hair is moisturized before she does those things.
Harini, what's your top trend?
I couldn't agree with Lisa more. I think across all women of all hair types, I think you're going to see a movement towards people embracing their natural hair and their natural beauty, and really making it the best that it can be rather than changing it into something that it's not. And I also think you're going to see a lot more brands addressing the needs of women with curly and textured hair. So you're going to just see a lot more product out on the market and from brands that you might not always be expecting. So you can expect a lot more choice coming in 2015.
Well, I want to thank you all for being here. We have a blue chip panel, and we've been so honored to have you be a part of this. For anyone who wants to find out more, we have this 200-page Texture Trends report, which is packed with insights, very specific insights about who this consumer is, what she's buying, why she's buying it, how much she's spending, where she's shopping. So please contact us if you have any more information, if you want to purchase Texture Trends. And for the consumers out there who have been participating and who really are the reason that we have these insights, please feel free to keep the questions coming in, and we'll make sure that they're channeled to the right people. But thank you again for being a part of this Google Hangout, and we hope you enjoyed it and got a lot of information from it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys. Bye, Harini.
Bye.